Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to look at getting started with the Gloomspite Gitz in Warhammer Age of Sigmar 4th edition. In this particular video we're going to look at using the faction Spearhead box set as the start for our force. Today's video is sponsored by Gap Games, a fantastic miniature wargaming store in Queensland, Australia. They stock a wide variety of miniature wargames from all things Games Workshop to some of my personal favourites, Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings, and all things Modifius wargames as well. Use our affiliate code in the link below to help support both this fantastic store and the channel as well. Leading the box set is a Loonboss, a pretty basic goblin hero, 5 health, 5 inch move, 4+ save and control score of 2. The model also does have a 6+ ward built in as well, which is pretty nice. Pretty standard combat profile with 5 attacks, 4s to hit and wound, Ren 1, damage D3 and no extra abilities, but it is other abilities that make this unit special for the Gloomspite. First of all, you have the ability of Let's Get Stabbin'. This you can declare a fight ability for this unit as a reaction, and you pick a friendly non-hero Moonclan infantry unit that's not fought and they can immediately fight after this unit. Now, you've also got the I'm the Boss hero phase ability, which you can declare by picking a friendly Moonclan stabber unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Roll a dice and on a 2+, pick one of the following effects. You can either use Get Back Ear if the target is not in combat, or you can return D6 slain models to the unit, or add 1 to wound rolls for the target's attacks until the start of your next turn, making them a pretty solid little unit. And as this model is a character, it's able to lead its own bunch of regiments. Now, in its regiment, it can have literally any Moonclan unit such as wants, one of the most open character options we have for the Gloomspite Gitz, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have our Moonclan Stabbers. These are the basic grots in our force, and we are going to want to build them up as stabbers, not the alternative build option of shooters, because this is where our Loonboss's ability is going to be able to affect them. They have 2 attacks, hitting on 4s and wounding on 5s with no Ren damage 1, so absolutely pitiful attacks really for them, but they're grots, they are relatively cheap for their numbers, and they also have an ability called Netters where you can pick an enemy infantry unit in combat with this unit to be targeted, and then roll a dice and on a 3+ subtract 1 from hits for that enemy unit, which is pretty cool. You know, you're able to sort of negate your opponent's hit rolls, make sure dudes potentially survive a little bit better, or force your opponent to have to spend command points to get the most out of their own units. And then we move on to our Squigs, and Squig hoppers are what we're going to look at. Now, I really like the Squig hoppers. They come in large units of 10 cavalry, which is pretty cool, 2 health each with a 6+ save, and they've also got a movement of 8 inch plus D6 inches, so a bit of random movement, but they can be relatively fast. Even a small 9 inch move at their worst is not too shabby. Now, they also have the fly keyword, as these guys literally just bounce all over the battlefield, and they've got a couple of attacks in there from their Squigs that are going to do a decent amount of little damage. 3 attacks, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, Ren 1 damage 1, though the companion ability there is there to potentially stop any major buffs going on them. They've got a couple of extra attacks from the riders that this really isn't anything to write home about though. The big thing with them is the boing 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 ability, which can be used during any movement phase, and you pick an enemy unit that has had models from this unit pass across them during that movement phase. You roll a dice for each model in the unit that passed across the target. For each 4+, inflict 1 mortal damage. So essentially you want to try and get this whole unit to move across someone. And this doesn't have to be done by literally moving across them. You could just move into them, into like that 0.001 of an inch, and then move back out, enabling you to do some mortal damage, and then potentially even charge in again and do even more damage to the enemy unit. And lastly, we have Rockgut troggoths. Now, these are a fairly solid unit and actually give us, you know, a good defensive anvil style unit to have to go along with some of the objective grabbers, some of the more faster, more techie sort of pieces we get inside the initial box. Now, the Rockgut troggoths have 5 health each, a 4+ save, and ward of 5+ as well, making them very durable. They've got 2 attacks each with a stone maul or craggy hands, which are 4s to hit, 2s to wound, Ren 2, damage 3. Now, to add further to that damage capability, they can throw boulders as well with a 10 inch range. 1 attack though, requiring a 5 to hit, but wounding on a 2+, Ren 2 and damage D3. They also, to bolster up the defenses, have the ability Regeneration, which can be used at the start of any turn, and they heal D3 when they do use this ability. Looking at where to go next, we're going to look at the Dankhold Trogboss. A big reason for this is going to allow us to make a regiment and not have any auxiliary units with our troggoths. Now, we are going to have a nice 12 health 4+ save character here that is a monster, 6-inch move and control score of 5. Its boulder club can hit pretty hard with 5 attacks, hitting on 4s, wounding on 2s, rend 2, damage d6. The Shepherd of Destruction is a once per turn army ability that can be used during the combat phase, and if this unit's in combat you roll a dice. On a 3+, for the rest of the turn you add 1 to the attack's characteristic of weapons used by friendly troggoths while they're within this unit's combat range. So pairing it with our Rockguts gives our Rockguts even more damage as well. The unit has a regeneration rule, much like the Rockgut Troggoths, though greater regeneration, meaning it heals d6 instead, and it also has magical resistance, which is a reaction whenever it's targeted by a spell. If this unit was picked as a target from a spell, roll a dice, and on a 4+, to simply ignore the effects of the spell. This gives us a real solid heavy hitter, something that also powers up our other sort of heavier hitting unit in the initial box set as well, and a great addition. Lastly, we have the Loonsmasha fanatics, and these, like the Dankhold Trogboss, are going to be a unit that really does boost up the damage potential of other pieces we've already got. Now, Loonsmasha fanatics are interesting with their hidden loons ability that can actually set up sort of amongst your mobs, and during the game you use the release of the fanatics ability, and you pick this unit if it's hidden amongst the mobs, then pick a friendly stabber or shooter unit from your Moonclan units as 10 or more models, and then set this unit up nearby them. This allows the unit that has strikes first to get in there with their d6 attacks each, forced to hit 3s to wound with rend 2 and damage d3 to deal some serious damage. Defense wise, they are not that great. They've got a 6+ save, a 1 health and a control score of 1, but they're in there to give some extra punch to our units of stabbers and the Loonboss that will be accompanying them to get some more damage out of our basic sort of grots. Now, like a lot of formations and armies within the game, many of them have their own special faction terrain piece, and the Gloomspite Gitz are no different. They have the Bad Moon Loon Shrine, which they can get, and it's a free piece of terrain they can get that bolsters a bunch of the army abilities they have. And also, like many other armies, when you have wizards or priests on the table, you're going to be able to take manifestation laws, which are a completely free thing points-wise in-game, so there's no reason not to go grab it. Not only do the Gloomspite Gitz have access to the generic laws and generic box sets like Malign Sorcery and Forbidden Power, but they also have their own Gloomspite Gitz box set as well, which gives them their own unique endless spells. Our formation today, as we are playing with Gloomspite Gitz, we're going to use the battle formation of the Troggoths. This means each time a friendly Troggoth unit uses a fight after the ability has been resolved, they can heal d3, giving them some extra healing. I think this is great. We've got a couple of Troggoth units in the list now and able to sort of make them even more durable for us. And so, leading our force is going to be our Loonboss as our general. This model is also going to take our heroic trait, which is going to be Loon Touch. This makes the model a wizard one, which is pretty cool, enabling us to use those manifestations. And if we did have a wizard already, this would actually add +1 to casting rolls for that wizard. Now, in this model's regiment, we're then going to have our unit of stabbers. We're also going to have our unit of Squig hoppers, and we're also going to have the Loonsmasha fanatics in there. Our second and last regiment will then have our Dankhold Trogboss leading it. This model is going to have our artifact of power from the troglodytic treasures called the Clamic Clow, which makes the model -1 to hit from enemy attacks. And then, of course, in its regiment, we're going to have our unit of Rockgut Troggoths. But we hope this video was helpful in giving you some ideas and our thoughts on Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead, and that you were able to get some inspiration to start your own force in the game with it. If you have any other questions at all, please comment down below, and while you're there, also don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our Discord server to check out all our future Warhammer Age of Sigmar content.